Shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Okay. A very good afternoon to you all. I think today will be the last day for the online sessions. Of course, you'll have to attend face-to-face counseling also, one theory course and one practical. But today, again, our ma'am, Professor Vimla ma'am, has joined us to guide you through this course on MPC-003, which is personality. A very interesting course. All of you will love it. So I request ma'am to please start the session.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it is audible. I think it is audible. Okay.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So good afternoon to you all. And today we are going to discuss about the paper on personality. Paper on personality. So personality is a term which is very commonly used everywhere, but there is a distinctive different a concept which is there in psychology. Generally, we used to say when a person is based on his physique, we used to say good personality like that. But coming to this, what exactly in psychology, what personality is, what are the things we study in that, how do you measure it, what are the different theories evolved on in personality, what exactly personality is. This you have to understand. So coming to this, first you have to understand what personality is. It is a term derived from a Greek word. Persona means it is covered. It is a cover, and ology means personality means we are going to study about the character which are hidden within you and all the things together. So personality means, first of all, you have to understand the definition of personality. So every individual is having a psychophysical system within us. Psychophysical system within us. This dynamic organization of this psychophysical system that determines our adjustments with the environment. So every individual is unique with this psychophysical system. So because this psychophysical system of an individual which is there within is derived through heredity and environment. As no two individuals are having the same heredity and same heredity and environment, we cannot expect the same personality traits among people. So personality means it is the psychophysical system of within us, within an individual, the dynamic organization of this psychophysical system within us, which determines our adjustments with the environment, which determines our unique adjustments. You make unique adjustments to one's own environment, which makes us, our psychophysical system within us makes us to make unique adjustments in the environment. That's why the adjustments of no two individuals are alike. This is a psychophysical system is unique to each individual. So you have to understand some of the things, basic things about what personality is. Personality is, it is being developed. I told you it is a psychophysical system. Psychophysical system within us, which means it is personality is determined by our physical characters, psychological characters, and also it consists of our adjustments, means social traits. All the characters, all the traits of an individual is called as personality. You can make in a nutshell our physical characters, psychological characters, social or environmental characters, whatever things we are having, all together we call it as personality. When you go to a dictionary, there are more than 3,000 terms which describes a person characters. So there are more than 3,000 words which describe the personality of individual. Hence, we cannot understand the total personality of anybody if ourselves we don't know what are the total traits we are having. We don't know. Nobody knows it. Nobody knows about the entire traits. Hence, we will measure or we will find out the traits by using certain psychological tests, personality tests, or whatever is there, which are needed only. Which are needed only. Suppose basically the personality tests and personality tests are used in educational purpose as well as in clinical purposes. We use personality tests, and also at present we are using it for job selections also. Job selections, clinical purpose, educational guidance, we are using these personality tests. So as I told you, the personality consists of more than 3,000 words. You cannot assess all the traits of a person. You will measure the personality through whatever is needed. We will, some of the tests are developed for measuring that, and we know about those traits. So how do the personality is such a complicated thing? Nobody, because such a complicated, it is the interplay of heredity and environment. So hereditarily, through genes, we inherit certain of the personality, certain of the traits, like 100% of our 100% of our physical traits are being measured. 100% of our physical traits we inherit through heredity. All the physical traits, including shape of forefinger, hair, nose, whatever is that, all these are being inherited through our genes 100%. And some of the psychological traits also we inherit. So biological factors plays a role in development of personality. And secondly, there are psychological conditions like our intelligence, our emotions, our aspirations, all these motivations, aspirations, emotions, all these intelligence, learning, all these are the psychosocial characters which also determines our personality. And the environmental factors like social acceptance, our culture. So we always learn the characters which the society accepts. So social acceptance is the very important factor which determines our personality traits. So hence we learn so many traits through our from our culture also. From our culture, we inherit some of the traits, most traits through neighborhood. Coming to that, how do you learn, develop your personality traits? Determines through heredity is one thing. Through genes, we develop certain, we inherit certain of the personality traits. I told you what personality traits are. All the characters, you can say that. Physical, psychological, social, and there is an interplay between these two. So, in physical characters, we said in psychological characters, all the characters and social characters also we develop through coming to the environmental factors like our home environment, our family culture, family type, neighborhood, parental attitude to you, your teacher, your acceptance, your rejection in the family, your successes, your failures, all these in addition to that environmental factors, family deprivations, all this determines the personality of an individual. So this is a unique adjustments the individual makes in the environment. Unique adjustments the individual makes in the environment. So the development of personality takes place, the interaction of all these factors, physical factors, psychological factors, social factors, and environmental factors. They plays a major role, especially the family plays a major role in developing our personality traits. The neighborhood, the culture, the school where you are studying, and also the environment where you are living, your financial status, the economy, all this determines your personality characters. So this is personality is such an important thing. important thing. And there are, if we are all these are personality traits always tries to adapt, adjust ourselves to the environment. If you are properly adjusted to the environment, there is no problem and no disorders. If we are not able to adapt to the adjust yourself to the environmental challenges, then so many personality disorders will come, which makes our life, which makes us, which has an impact on our peace of mind and which have an impact on our success and happiness. Hence, so this is such an important thing. Personality is important in our entire psychology. Two things are important. One is your abilities. Second one is your personality. Personality means characters, all your traits, physical traits, which has an impact on our behavior, psychological traits, which has an impact on our all these traits have an impact on our behavior, in our behavior. So, so many scientists try to find out the characteristics of the what is personality. How do you divide them? How do you understand personality? So personality consists of altogether total individual characters are called as personality. Individual abilities, again, understand the difference between intelligence is an ability, whereas personality is a trait, means a character. Enduring character is called as a trait. And psychology studies about the behavior, that is the interaction of this intelligence and personality. So, psychology is not personality. Personality is only about the traits, about the characters, whereas intelligence is about your abilities. So, when it comes to the testing, we measure personality, we measure intelligence. That means abilities and personality. These two are important. The interaction of these two determines our behavior. So, lot of research was conducted on this personality. What is personality? Is basically you have to understand it is the psychophysical system within us. It is the psychophysical system within us, which makes us to adjust to the environment. Unique, it makes the unique adjustment of the individual. So there are to understand this, there are number of theories were evolved. Among them, the very first theories which were evolved, which were uh, uh, which were given by this psychologist was type approach theories. Type approach theories. So type approach theories means depending upon the biological physical structure or biological structure of the individual, the people are categorized into they are categorized, and if the person is having this type of physics or this type of physiological condition, he will behave in this way. This is also through a lot of research they are able to identify. This approach is called as type approach. Type. So among all the type approaches, Hippocrates is the first person who is able to divide these people into, who is able to divide the people based on their basic fluids, physiological fluids. Basically, he is a doctor. He is a doctor. Hence, he want to find out the basic fluids. So people will develop the traits based on their basic fluids present in their body. So this is the concept of Hippocrates. So people will develop the personality traits based on the fluids present in their body. And he said the blood, spleen, black bile, yellow bile, these are the four fluids which are present in our body. The dominance of one of the fluids makes the particular type of personality. He said the dominance of one of the fluids in the body. Even though we are having everybody is having all the fluids, people will have dominance of one of the fluids. The person who is having a dominant of one of the fluids will behave like that. For example, he said if the person is having a domination of blood, so he has given blood, spleen, black bile and yellow bile. These are the four types of fluids. So the dominance of one of the fluid. People don't have all the fluids in the same quantity. Some people have a dominant of one of the fluids. If the people are having the dominance of blood, they are always cheerful and active. This is one of the uh, character he has identified. The people who are having the domination of blood, they are active and they are cheerful. Similarly, they identified certain of the characters for the different fluids too, like plain yellow bile and black bile also. They said these are the things which are important. So based on the fluids present in our body, our characters, our traits develop. So this is the first theory developed Hippocrates. Later on, another person, Sheldon. This is the first theory on type approach. Type. Sheldon, he has he did a lot of survey and he has taken the nude photos of so many people and he find out and he divided people into three types. Endomorphic morphology means body. Endomorphy, ectomorphy, and mesomorphy. Endomorphic people are fat people and fat people, they are fat. Endomorphy, he has divided them based on their body structure, morphology. So the people who are fat will come under endomorphic people. They are cheerful. They are cheerful and they are always they are cheerful and they are not serious, laughing, and they are happy-go-lucky fellows. They want to be happy. They enjoy the physical comforts. They want to eat more, like that. These are the characters they said for endomorphic people. They are active and cheerful. They are active, cheerful, and happy-go-lucky fellows. They don't bother much. They like comfort, body comfort. Endomorphic people always aspire for body comfort, physical comfort. Then coming to the second thing is ectomorphic people. Ectomorphic people are thin and tall, whereas endomorphic people are fat. The ectomorphic people are thin and tall. They are they're fragile people. Fragile people. Most of them ectomorphic people. They are thinkers. They don't go for fight or any other thing because they are thin and tall, and that most of them are introverts. Like that, some of the characters were given by ectomorphic people, thin and tall. Then coming to the mesomorphic people, they are having the athletic bodies. Mesomorphic people are having strong athletic bodies. They are always ready to fight. They are aggressive people. They are ready to fight. Because what they said, because if you are having a strong body, you will become confident and you will try to fight with others. You love to fight with others, and you are strong, muscular, strong, and you are these are the characters given to mesomorphic people. Mesomorphic, they always focus towards achieve. They want to achieve. So Sheldon has given three categories: ectomorphic, endomorphic, ectomorphic, and mesomorphic. So based on their body type, whether they are fat, whether they are thin, or whether they are muscular. Based on these three basic traits, they divided the people into three types. Anybody will come to one of the types, one of the types. Again, there is Kreshmer also make the same type of picnics, athletics like that. These are the same like Sheldon category. He has given other names also based on the body type. Then Meyer-Briggs type indicator. Based on the Jung's theory, Meyer-Briggs has given a type: extroversion, introversion, judgmental and perceptual. These are the uh, what is it? Judgmental or perceptual, and sensing and intuition. There are people, three types of people he identified. So they behave There are people who behave like an extrovert or introvert. Extrovert is a person who is expressive, who is active, who is sociable, and all his thoughts are being expressed. Whereas introvert is a person, he is serious, he doesn't like social much about social, he is not interested in social interactions. He want to stay alone, he is more of thinker, he won't express his ideas, express his feelings or ideas. So these are the two extremes. This is a line, the scale, dynamic scale. One extreme is extroversion, other extreme is introversion. People will fall in between. So based on that, they will have their own characteristics. So this is the based on Jung's theory, this Meyer-Bridge type indicator. So he has given the type indicator. Next thing is, second thing is judgmental and perceptual. Some people try to judge, judgmental. They used to judge everything, and their personality is judging the people. Whereas the second category and is perceive. They perceive. This is a emotional aspect. They judge and they perceive. Um, these are two opposite sides of a scale. Then the third type is sensing and intuition. People who sense the environment. We are talking about the environment. Who sense the environment? Who behave with their intuition? Intuition means whatever says that intuition means with their knowledge they will come across with some solution with their knowledge and experience. So whatever they believe, they used to do. This is called intuition. I don't know, there is no logic here. In intuition, there is no logic. Individual experience is important. You might be knowing about that. All our rishis and ancient people's theories, Vedas and all the theories are given by rishis are through intuition, not by experimentation. They don't have any experiment. That's why, because this is a scientific age, we are not believing them. Intuition means individual experience, individual vision, individual vision. So, this is about Mayer-Bridges type indicator. And he also says that there is a type A and type B personalities. Type A and type B. Type A personalities are workaholics, perfectionists. They want to do it on time and they want to do it very perfectly, all the activities. Type B personalities are relaxed and they enjoy. Type B personalities, they don't pay not much attention on that. Sometimes they A personalities because of their perfection. They used to get so many disorders too nowadays because they are more stress prone. So this is about type approach. This is the first approach developed. This is the first approach developed for understanding personality type approach. Later on, the very important and very practical and being used through research is a trait approach. Trait means it is a trait means an character which is existing for longer periods. People will have different traits. What do you call a trait is the character which is the behavior which is existing for a longer period is called as a trait. Consistently existing is called a trait. So on this trait approach, people used to take, there are two types of traits are generally, two types of traits are very common. One is common traits. People all will have some common traits. This common traits means all the people are exhibiting the same traits, hence it is called as a common traits. And every individual has some special traits, specific traits. So those are called as individual traits. Common traits and individual traits. Individual means specific to the individual. So they may be cardinal traits or central traits or secondary traits. Cardinal traits means these are the dominant traits of a person. We used to call them. Personality is such an important component. We used to call them with their personality. He's an aggressive man. Aggression is a personality trait. He's a submissive man, submissive person. Means that is a personality trait. He's very dominant. He's a dominant man. He's a serious man. All these are the personality traits. The dominant trait of an individual is referred as a basic characteristic of person, individual traits. These are called as a cardinal traits. A, what I can say that always a smiley person, smiling, always he smiles. Happy person is a depressed person, always sad. Like that, workaholic, we call them as workaholic. He's that means this is one of the personality traits. Workaholic is another personality trait. So we call these cardinal traits. That means the dominant traits are being named even in our conversations. These are called as dominant traits. There are central traits also. What generally central traits means where we focus upon. Every individual has a focus on some of the things. So, our outstanding life focuses. I want to achieve this. I want to do this service. These are the life focuses. These are these develop certain traits. These are called as central traits. Central traits. Dominant traits are called as cardinal traits, and central traits means our life focuses determine certain of the traits. And the third type of traits are called secondary traits. They are not consistent. They are not superficial. Sometimes they occur, sometimes they don't. That type of they exhibit in our behavior. Sometimes we don't exhibit in our behavior. Those are called as secondary traits. So this is a general classification of traits given. Trait is a character. This is the first thing is based on their types. Type means body types. Physiological types, they developed this uh, classification. The second in trait approach based on their characters. I told you personality is the psychophysical organization. Based on physical traits, the type approach was evolved. Based on their psychological traits, the trait approach was evolved. The trait approach among them, the cattle trait approach. So many scientists has developed so many. So because the trait approach is fundamental for developing personality tests. These are very important. They studied with thousands of people and they derive with some of the traits and they developed a test by using the factor analysis method. This is the most scientific way they developed the tests. So, cattle trait approach. Now, we are coming to there are so many people has given their trait approach. Among them, the cattle's trait approach. Cattle has divided the traits into surface traits and superficial traits. This is one category. Surface traits and source traits. Sorry, surface traits and source traits. Surface traits and source traits. Surface traits are observable traits. Surface traits are observable traits, like your kindness is being observed in your behavior. Your kindness, your helpfulness, your honesty, all these are being observed in your behavior. Where do you characters, where do you observe the traits? The traits are observed in your behavior. How do you know about it? Through behavior only we are observing your traits. Through your behavior only we are observing your traits. So these are called as surface traits. The traits whom you can observe and find out. You can observe and find out. Similarly, source traits means which you cannot observe directly, but you can. These are called as which you cannot observe directly are called as source traits. For example, you are an emotional and a stable person, like that. tough individual and a tender individual. You cannot observe like that. Reserved and outgoing versus outgoing. There are certain traits which you cannot observe. They are hidden in their personality. They are hidden traits. So the hidden traits are called that will be expressed in different superficial traits. Suppose I am an honest person. Honesty is the source trait. Then, toughness is the source trait. This toughness is being expressed in different activities. Toughness is not directly observable, but toughness is observed in different actions. Hence, it is called as a source trait. Source trait is toughness, and he is tough with the children, tough with the student, tough with the subordinates. So, the source trait is toughness. He is using that in different aspects. So, these are called as a source traits. Then, this is one classification he has given: surface traits and source traits. Uh, then he has given another classification is constitutional traits. Constitutional traits means related to your body traits. Constitutional traits. Uh, then coming to the environmental traits. Environmental traits. Then he said abilities and temperament. Ability traits means your skills. Temperaments means your dynamism. I told you that personality means physical traits, psychological traits, and social traits. All three together we call them as personality. All the traits together. So each one of the scientists has taken some of the traits and he classified in his own way. He classified in his own way. So motivated and attitude, temperament. Temperament is the emotional status of individuals. Temperament. There is mood and temperament. You might be knowing two words. Mood as well as temperament. Mood is the occasional emotional state of an individual. We used to say he is not in a mood. Means this is an occasional state of emotional state. Occasional emotional state. Temperament means his emotional state is same always. He's a moody man. Is he always moody? He's a active person, active man. He's emotionally he always active. So like that, we used to find out the temperament, then about his motivation. All these traits will come under temperament traits. Motivated, his attitudes, all these will come under one category of traits. So this, as per the cattle, he has identified number of traits, thousands of traits. He reduced it and he divided it, and he developed 16 PF cattle personality test. PF means personality factor test. 16, the very popular and very much used test. Cattle 16 PF personality test. 16 means 16 is a number. PF means personality factor test. So it consists of, he has identified so many hundreds of personality traits and he reduced it to 16 personality traits. 16 personality traits and he developed a test. 16 PF tests. So this is a very popular test which is being used very much because these are certain of the personalities. These measures the source personalities. These 16 are source personality traits. You can understand better about the personality characters of an individual by using this test. So this is called as 16 PF test. Cattle's contribution to the development of personality test is the maximum. Number of tests are being developed by cattle. Number of personality tests, and among them 16 PF test is the one of the important tests. One of the important tests. So This is one classification. He classified into surface and source traits, constitutional traits and constitutional traits, and what is that? Ability traits and environmental traits and temperamental traits. Temperamental traits. So these are the classification of cattle. I'm not giving entire depth of the thing what is given. I'm giving only the gist of the factors. So by 5 o'clock, I have to complete it, all the 4 volumes. So each personality theory takes more than half an hour. That's why I'm giving only the gist. Then coming to the Eysenck personality traits, Eysenck's classification. So he has given there is Eysenck personality test is a very popular test. And Eysenck has divided people into 3 types of categories he has given. One is in a scale, in a continuum, extroversion and introversion. This is the one of the important thing. We use Eysenck scale for many of the for identification of personality because the research showed that introvert people are more prone to psychological disorder than extroverts. Psychological disorders are more abundant in introverts because they don't express their feelings and their things. So, introverts and extroversion is one division which is being given by I think I think personality test was also developed to find out whether the person is an extrovert or introvert. Even in counseling, we use the test is being used to find out whether the person is an extrovert or an introvert. Usually, the person who is an extrovert uh, used to express all his ideas, so sociable, and he makes relationships and all the things. Whereas an introvert is a person who uh, who who will not share his ideas. He don't like social interactions. He don't like. He want to be alone. He's a thinker, more of thinker. So hence the introvert they don't share their ideas. Sharing is very important for psychological health because they don't share. The introverts are more prone to psychological disorder. This is the research prediction. Hence, the first test which is being given is whether he is an introvert or an extrovert. So this is one classification. The second classification is neuroticism and stability. Neuroticism means the mild psychological disorders are called as neurotic disorders. Mild psychological disorders like having anxiety, having phobias, having compulsions, having what I can say that shyness. Some of the characters which appears to be simple, but which disrupts our peace of mind. Neurotic disorders, neurotic anxiety. Anxiety is a disorder. So whenever you are having anxiety, you cannot perform well. Your heartbeat increases and all the changes occurs in your body. You cannot do well. So this anxiety is leading to so many first, our efficiency reduces psychologically and physically. The continuous prolonged anxiety may lead to so many physical disorders. Similarly, phobias, compulsions. So there are these type of disorders are called as neurotic disorders. Neurotic disorder. So if you take a continuum, neuroticism, completely healthy person, neuroticism at one end and psychoticism means so neuroticism and stability. So these people, neurotic people are not stable. They cannot perform any work in a stable way, in a calm and calm way. So they are anxious because of their anxiety and anxious neurotic people. Neurotic anxiety, what we call it, neurotic anxiety. Neurotic anxiety means feeling anxiety for everything. So there are so many types of disorders, anxiety disorders are there. Not only anxiety disorders, there are so many neurotic disorders are there. Phobias are there, compulsions are there, neurotic depression is there, sadness, like that. So in all these things, neuroticism and stability, people are stable. People are stable. So this is one classification. If the person is more neurotic, nobody will be 0% neurotic, or personality disorders will come under neurotic disorder. So if you measure neuroticism and stability, so if you fall towards stability, so less neurotic disorders, you will be healthy. So this is another classification Isaac has given. One is extroversion, introversion. Second thing is neuroticism and stability. And third thing is psychoticism and impulsive control. Psychoticism and impulsive control. Psychoticism means the major
Madam,
psychological disorder.
1 minute, madam. Just
Yes,
1 minute.
yes.
తమలపాకుల సురేష విజయ్ శేఖర్
Vijayashekhar.
కెమెరా ఆఫ్ చేయండి మీరు.
Mr. Tamalapakula Vijayashekhar, please mute your camera.
కెమెరా ఆఫ్ చేయండి మీరు. ఓకే మేడం.
Right. Coming to the psychoticism and impulse control. Psychoticism and impulse control. So psychotism is major psychological disorders are called psychotic disorders. And whenever there is a psychotic disorder, people used to have the impulse, they don't have the control, they are impulsive people. So impulse control is one thing, and psychoticism. These are the three categories Isaac has divided based on this triad theory. So many based on this triad theory, hierarchy theory, so many tests are being developed. This is the contribution of Isaac. So we have studied about cattle and Isaac. So everybody has given their in their own way the classification of trait. You can't say whatever the classification they have given and with research evidences, and they developed a test based on that. So you cannot say this classification is right and this classification is wrong. All the classifications are true, and they had divided in particular way, and they developed a test based on that. This is all supported by total research. Then coming to the Guilford theory of personality theory. Guilford. So Guilford has given somatic traits, that means morphological and physiological traits. So what are these are also important for our behavior. Morphological and physiological disorders. For example, suppose if you see a person, these are the somatic traits, body traits. Somatic traits means body traits. So what are the body traits means? Breathing rate, our heart rate, hormonal secretions, all these are physiological traits. Physiological traits also determines our behavior. If the hormonal secretion is more, some of the, let me say the thyroid, hormonal secretion is more, and or if the hormonal secretion is less. If the hormonal secretion is less, the person will be sluggish. If it is more, they will become sluggish. They don't want to, their activity reduces. All these are the behavioral symptoms. So he said that somatic traits, this is because of their body. Heartbeat, breathing rate, hormonal secretions, and other things. So these are the traits which are developed because of their body. Behaviors developed based on their body traits. This is one category. One is morphological and physiological traits. Coming to the second thing, second classification is adaptive responses, adaptive traits. To adapt to the environment, he has given that adapt to the environment, we develop certain traits. Like to adapt to the environment, needs, Guilford said, our needs, we are developing certain, our needs are also not the basic survival needs, other needs, psychological needs are being developed. Our needs, our interests, and our attitudes. Attitude means You know what is a need? Need means our except survival need, psychological need. And for adapting to the needs, we develop certain personality traits. We adapting to the needs, we develop certain personality traits. Like that, low socioeconomic people, to adapt to the needs, they develop certain adaptive response. And the second thing is about interests. Interests and attitudes. These are called as adaptive responses. Attitude means it is to a readiness to behave. This is the readiness of the individual to respond to the situation. That is called as attitude. So all these are called as adaptive responses. Then the third category as given is aptitudes. You have to understand the exact meaning of what is attitude and what is aptitude. Attitude is a readiness of the individual to respond to a situation, to a person, or other thing. Attitude. This occurs prior to the occurrence of the event. Attitude always occurs prior to the, and attitudes determines our behavior. Our attitudes determines our behavior. So, coming to the aptitude, aptitude is the inborn trait of an individual. Inborn, genetically acquired trait, maybe the intelligence. Genetically acquired trait, maybe musical aptitude, maybe a what I can say that musical aptitude or painting or sculpture, whatever is the aptitude means inborn capacities. Inborn capacities. They may be genetical. They are genetical. They may be psychomotor or perceptual or whatever is that. So the hidden genetically abilities, genetically acquired abilities are called as aptitudes. Aptitude will not make the person, aptitude alone will not make a person successful unless the training is being given. Aptitude plus training makes a person successful. For example, if you see musical aptitude, so many children are we are seeing in the TV, or something, some other programs. They are having an aptitude, inborn capacity, plus lot of training, making them successful. So aptitude is the genetically you acquired ability, genetically acquired ability, special ability. And then temperament. Temperament is very important. We have bipolar temperaments, we know, and activity, inactivity, sociability versus shyness. All these are related to our emotional behavior. Temperament. Temperament is a word which is being used to our emotional behavior. So this is the Guilford classification. He divided and he also developed certain personality tests. Guilford also developed certain personality tests based on this. His classification is morphological and physiological, needs, interests, and attitudes as behavior responses, and aptitudes and temperament. This is the classification given by Guilford. Next comes to the big factors model. Big factor model. This is a very, very popular classification which is being very much used nowadays, both in industrial setting as well as in other conditions too. So, in big factor model, they have identified certain 5 traits, big factors, which determines the behavior of an individual. And in the beginning, it is being developed in an organizational sector to in selection of people, and the successful people are having these traits. So they have conducted a research and find out most successful people in any organization are having these traits. Big factors, big 5-factor model, big 5-factor model. So simply it is being called as a ocean model, OCEAN, ocean. O stands for openness. Openness means any individual or in any organization, an employee or an individual is successful only he is having a proactive. Proactive means he is ready to take any challenge. A person in normal life, in his personal life or in an employment, work life, wherever he is, he should be proactive. Proactive means ready to learn, ready to do, ready to work. Whatever is that, he should be ready, proactive. Then is having a appreciation of activity. Appreciation of activity of appreciation of appreciating other people. Openness means if somebody does well, he should appreciate him. Appreciation is very important and he should be sociable and he should be actively, he should have appreciation. These are the openness. This character is called as a openness. Ocean, the first O stands for openness. Openness means he should be proactive, ready to do. Proactive means ready to take a challenge, ready to work, ready to help, whatever is that. He should be proactive persons are called. The trait of the proactive person is openness and appreciation of good activities done by others. Appreciating others is important. And thirdly, he should be a sociable person. And if you look at the people who are having all these qualities are highly successful people. So now the companies are also looking for a person who is having a openness. He should be proactive to the challenges of the organization. Then second thing is consensuous. Ocean, the second letter C stands for consensuous. Means consensuous means he should have an organization system, degree of organization, persistence and motivation. These are the three positive qualities which are required for anybody for success. You should have an organized degree of how much organized you are. How much organized you are. And you should have a persistence and motivation. Persistence and motivation. These are the characteristics of a consensuous person. See, E stands for extroversion. People want no company or no organization and nobody encourages introversion. Introversion is not a introversion is not a desirable character in many of these activities. Like extroversion is the person is sociable, the person is talkative, the person is person oriented, not work oriented. He is person oriented too. That person is called as extrovert. He is an extrovert. OCE. Openness, consensuous and extrovert. And third is A, agreeableness. Agreeableness means quality of interpersonal relations. Quality of interpersonal relation. Unless you agree the other person, you don't have good interpersonal relation. So agreeableness is denoted by A. Quality of interpersonal relation should be good and he should be helpful, he should be truthful, and forgiveness is very important. Forgiveness is important, which is agreeableness. Forgiveness gives agreeable. Says that means agreeableness is the source trait. It is being seen as a good having quality interpersonal relationships and helpful, truthful, and forgiveness. And again, N is neuroticism. I told you adjustment, emotional stability is very much needed. Emotional stability is very much needed, neuroticism. So these are called big five factor theory. This theory is being used to in the selection of people for the employment too. So because it is all our MNCs are having Excuse me. So it is a teamwork. All these characters are very much needed in the global scenario. Hence, while selecting the people, they wanted to have the people with openness so that they can openness, consensuous, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroism. All these are the characters which is being needed for an employee to be successful in an organization and also for the thing. So hence this is about the basic things about personality, personality. And coming to the personalities, second volume on theories of personality. Theories of personality. The So among the theories of personality, the first theory is about Freud theory. This is the basic theory, Freud theory. Yesterday also I told, but I didn't give anything about Freud theory. I will tell you little basic idea about Freud theory because it is being given in all the papers. I think some of the papers you might have covered, but I will give the gist of Freud theory. This is very important because you should understand that Freud has given the structure of personality. He has given the structure of personality. The structure of personality consists of id, ego, and superego. These three are the abstract constructs. They don't have objectivity. They don't have objectivity. They are the only the theoretical constructs. Id, ego, and superego. Freud is basically a physician who is a doctor while treating the patients. He find out in his observation the the people are getting better even before using their medicines or some other thing. He observed and he find out even with multivitamin they are saying they are able to cure the symptoms. Then he thought that other than the biological factors, some other thing is being influencing the body of an individual, and he become he transferred into a psychologist, a big psychologist, and he ruled psychology for so many years. He did everything without experimentation. Without experimentation, he has given he has touched all the areas of psychology. He didn't leave even the single thing about personality, about diseases, about everything, every activity, every part of the psychology, his print is there. Psychoanalytical theory is the psychoanalytical with analysis. Analysis is without any experimentation. So this was being followed by so many years, more than 100 years. But very recently, after the development of scientific temper, people are not accepting the psychological theories developed by Freud, but they are using the what is the tests which are developed by Freud even today. So the theory is such a important and practical theory, but it has no experimentation. It is with analysis only, psychoanalytical, with logic. He developed all the theories. So he developed the structure of personality. He said there is a structure of personality and a dynamics of personality. So for our personality theories, he developed what is the structure of personality consists of three constructs, I can say id, ego, and superego. Id means the the wishing nature of our psyche is called as id. Wishing, need fulfillment, wish fulfillment, wishing nature. These are instinctive. So wishing need fulfillment or wishing nature of the individual. I will tell you with a small example so that you can understand id, ego, and superego very easily. So this is about id is a wishing nature. Ego works on. He has given three principles. It works on hedonistic principle. He uses the term hedonistic principle, means pleasure principle. Whatever is pleasurable, I want to have that. This pleasure has no rules and regulations. Whenever a thing is pleasurable, I want to have it. This is the nature of id. Ego always wants to fulfill id. Hence, whatever the id desires, ego wants to fulfill it in reality. In reality. So, reality principle is being used by ego. The third superego is the moral sense. It is a master and which controls both id and ego. He said whether the desire is socially accepted or not, whether the means of fulfilling the desire is socially accepted or in accordance with the moral rules of the society or not. This is superego. So he said all the three, if worked together, the individual is happy. So I will tell you with a small example. So a child is traveling in a infant is traveling in a train, and she was hungry at 1 o'clock at midnight, and she cries, and parents she is only 3 or 4 months infant, so she cannot say she cannot understand. She was in the train and she won't get the milk in middle of the train. She start crying and crying. That is the stage where it is developing. Whatever she wants, she wants to fulfill the. So after some time, at 1 year, the ego also develops. Beginning only it is present. At birth, we have only it. After some time, the ego develops. That means when the child is 8 months or 9 months or 1 year, when you are traveling in the same train, and if the child is hungry, then mother says that. So the next station you will have your milk because we are in the train. We cannot uh, have the milk in the train in the middle of the middle of the way. So the child understands this is reality. Ego developed. Ego developed. After that, 4 or 5 years, the child developed the moral sense. We should do this, we should not do this. When 3-year-old child is pulling our bag, who is sitting beside you, then her mother says, you should not pull the bag of other person. You should not take the things of others. By this by this reward and punishment, and by observation, the child learns the rules of the society. That is moral sense. What you should do, what you should not do. That is moral sense, is superego. So the child begins its life with it, and after that it develops ego, and after that superego. If the three are coordinated and work together, the individual will be normal. If one of the thing is strong, the individual will develop some of the psychological disorders. Psychological disorders. We will go and we will find out in the psychopathology classes on mental disorder. So this is the structure of the psyche. Individual psyche has id, ego, and superego. The one works on happiness principle, second on reality principle, third on moral sense, moral principle. So all these three work together. So this is one thing what he said. And he also said about there are three levels of consciousness also he has given: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Conscious is what we are totally aware of. The conscious level is what we are aware of. This is what you are aware of means at present you are in the class, you are aware that somebody is speaking, the teacher is speaking, and you are listening. And somebody is there beside you, or what you are doing. All this, whatever you are aware of, this is called as a conscious level. One, with the help of some cues, if you are able to recollect something, it is called as a subconscious. So, according to Freud, whatever experience you are having, it will be registered in your mind. But some experiences with some cues, cues means with some help, you can be able to recollect it. So those are called as, that level is called as subconscious level. All our experiences are in subconscious level. And he is more focused on unconscious. Unconscious means, what he said is, what the individual is totally not aware of, that what is there in our unconscious, what do you find in your unconscious. Unconscious, as per Freud, I am telling you, the unconscious consists of your painful experiences, very painful experiences, the experiences from the childbirth onwards. Childhood is very important for Freud. Whatever experience you had, which is very, very painful, that because it is painful, you can't bear that. Without our knowledge, it goes to our unconscious. Once it goes to unconscious, we cannot recollect it back. So those are the unconscious consists of our painful experiences. Number two, Friday's concepts are more about sex and aggression. These are, as per Freud, these are the two things which are governing our behavior. Sex and aggression, these are the natural instinctual traits which has a lot of social control. We cannot express our, nobody expresses about their sexual behaviors or sex urges, because there is a lot of control on sexual gratification by the society. Similarly, nobody talks about aggression also. Aggression is also not being accepted in any society. So these are the two things. We are natural and innate, but expression of this is, lot of restrictions are being are given on this too by the society. Hence, in spite of that, because instinctual, you will get lot of thoughts about sex, not according to the social norms. You get lot of thoughts which are away from the social thoughts, social norms regarding sex and aggression. And these, without our knowledge, because they are painful, we don't want to be away from the social norms. Because they are painful, without our knowledge, we send them to, it goes to unconscious. So the unconscious consists of our painful experiences, our thoughts which are against to the social norms related to sex and aggression. So these are the things which are present in our unconscious. What is there in our unconscious, we do not know. So as per Freud, our unconscious determines sometimes our behavior. Sometimes we'll get unnecessary anxiety, we don't know why we are getting anxious. So, but according to Freud, the reason is in our unconscious. Hence, the Freud tried to find out, to bring the unconscious, to find out what is there in our unconscious. He developed so many tests. So, this is about Freud's structure of personality and functions of personality. Coming to the dynamics of personality, as per Freud, there are two things he said, eros and thanatos. People used to have two types of instincts. Eros means life instincts, means positive things. We want to live our life. These are called as life instincts. So we call them as eros. Constructive life instincts means constructive instinct to do better, to make it, or to develop. All these are the constructive instincts. What he called them as eros. And the other thing is destructive instincts. Also, we are having death instincts. What is called? They are called as thanatos. Thanatos are destructive things which we are having, life instincts and death instincts, what he called them. So both will work in our, both are important. So we are having certain constructive behaviors, certain destructive behavior. Like that, people will have all the two types of traits, death instinct traits and also life instinct traits. And he also given another important thing is about defense. Another concept which was given by Freud is defense mechanisms. So all these are responsible for development of our personality, according to him. So what are the defense mechanisms? He has given about defense mechanisms. The defense mechanisms are the mechanisms which we use to protect our psyche, to protect our psyche. For example, he said, every human behavior is goal directed. As it is, everybody knows that we don't behave. Whatever we are doing, there is certain goal. So when we are not able to reach our goals due to some other reason, whatever is the reason, if we are not able to reach the goals, the people will get frustration. The frustration tilts the psychological balance. Frustration means it is a psychological agony. Because I have not reached the goal which I aspired, I am psychologically having agony, and this is tilting my psychological balance. Tilting my psychological balance. To regain the balance again, I have to do something to protect my psych homeostatic balance. I have to do something to protect my psyche. For that, what we'll do, we will use certain mechanisms. That mechanisms are called as defense mechanism. That mechanisms are called defense mechanisms. I'll tell you with a small example about defense mechanism. I aspired, my goal is to get a seat in medicine. Due to whatever is the reason, I worked hard, but I didn't get the seat. So I was my mental balance tilted because of psychological agony. Again, nobody wants to always keep in the imbalanced condition of the psyche or body. So again, you want to regain without our knowledge, we try to regain the balance. So for regaining the psychological balance, we use certain mechanisms. So for example, if I fail to get the seat, then my psychological balance tilted. Again, to get the balance, what I will do, I have to do certain activity. Then I said, psychologically, I said that this is not a good course because we have to work so hard. That's why, because not getting the seats itself is good. I'm saying that. So again, I'm not worrying. I'm saying that this is the best way. This is the best. రాకపోవడమే మంచిదైంది. So this is the way. When I say this, again my psychological balance, I will develop the homeostatic condition psychologically. These are called as defense mechanisms. Number of defense mechanisms, he explained around 10 defense mechanisms, which always helps to protect our ego, to protect our psychological balance. So all this we do without our knowledge. If you do it with our knowledge, you don't have any effect. So all the defense mechanisms are used without our knowledge. So this is about defense mechanisms what Freud used. And the second thing is, and the last thing about Freud is about development of personality. So he has given certain stages of personality, certain stages of personality development. Oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, like that he has given certain stages. So in every stage, he said one of the psycho-physiological condition is important. He says the first stage I will tell you, oral stage, where the oral stage he has given certain period, 1 year to 1 to 2 years, like that. So during that period, what is important? Our mouth is important. So you will derive the satisfaction only by putting anything in your mouth. This is the organ which is important in oral stage. So that's why you might be knowing an infant, whatever you give, you put it in its mouth. The feeding, whatever is that. So in oral stage, the child used to get not only the need fulfillment through milk, he not only get the biological need fulfillment, psychological feelings of security also he develop while the child is drinking in the lap of a mother, the heat which he produces. Whatever the infants always hold something while drinking milk. This holding of something gives the infant the feelings of security. feelings of security. Along with the biological need, they also get the psychological feeling of security and satisfaction. Security and satisfaction. Like that, this is oral stage. Like that, he has given anal stage where toilet training is important. Like that, he has given all the 5 stages. Phallic stage. Third stage, phallic stage. In phallic stage, so in the anal stage, the other thing about this, I will tell you the consequence. If at oral stage, as per Freud, the oral stage, if the child is not satisfied um, with feeding, but as the oral stage is only for feeding milk and all the things. How can you know that psychologically the child is satisfied or not? We don't know. But this has an impact in their future personality, what he said. So the person who is not satisfied during this period, oral stage, some people used to put the bottle and they go away. They don't get the hold of the touch of the mother. They don't get the security feelings from their mother, like that. All this will have a future impact because the child is not satisfied. They develop certain, what he said is when the child is not infant is not satisfied, the oral stage, he in the future personality, he may become a talkative person. He may develop overeating behavior. He may, like that, he has given certain of the things. So, in every stage, if the child is not satisfied during that stage, it has an impact on his future. Like that, in anal stage, where the toilet training up to 4 years, the toilet training takes place. In that during that period, if the mother is very strict during the toilet training, the child may develop so many digestive problems in the later stage. And if he is so permissive, then also he will develop certain of the overeating, like that. He will not develop the control over his stomach, eating habits, like that. So he has given every stage, if the child is not satisfied, they develop that. In this process, the third stage, he develops two important things. One is Oedipus complex and Electra complex. Oedipus complex and Electra complex. Oedipus complex means at 3 years, 3 to 4 years in between that age, the girl child, the boy child develops affection and love towards her mother, and at the same time, he used to treat her father with as a revenge, as a he won't like his father. So he loves his mother and he hates his father. So this happens for boys. If the child is a girl, that girl love, this is called as Oedipus complex. And if the child is a girl, the girl child loves her father and hates her mother at the same time as a competitor. So this is called as electro complex. He developed so two things during the phallic stage, Oedipus complex and electro complex. And finally he said these two will be resolved during the next stage of development. So like that he has given 5 stages of development, and each stage I am not going because lot of time is depth of time. I will stop here. So here the development of uh, psychosexual development also leads to so many this development of personality. It has a major role. So as per Freud, I am concluding. As per Freud, the structure of the personality, the dynamics of personality, like life instinct and death instincts, and the defense mechanism, and the development of psychosexual development of the child, all this has a major impact in the development of personality and developing the behaviors. So this is about Freud. Then we will go to the two more things of psychodynamic theories. One is Harney and Sullivan. I will go to this. Take a break for 5 minutes and we will do.
Okay, ma'am. We'll take a break now, students. Please join again at, ma'am, let us join at 3:45.
3:30. 3:40.
3:40?
Yes, that is
Okay.
3:30 only. Now it is 3:30. 10 minutes before 3:30.
3:40. Yes.
Okay, 3:40.
Okay.
Okay, right.
మేడం స్టార్ట్ చేయండి మేడం.
Okay.
ఓకే.
So there are two more psychodynamic theories, which has some of the people who disciples of Freud who are not able to accept these theories regarding sex and aggression. They came out and they developed their own personality theories. Among them, Harney and Sullivan are the important scientists. I am not going into that because of lack of time and all that thing. Let us uh, let us come to the next theory of that. So all these are its so psychodynamic theories. Psychodynamic theories. Let us come to the next theory on social cognitive theories of personality. Social cognitive theories of personality. All the theories which are of psychodynamic theories and psychoanalytical theories have no experimentation, no, they are being developed by the logic, and without experimentation, all the theories are being developed. Now, the next theory which was developed recently was social cognitive theory of personality. So, this is social cognitive theory of personality, which was developed by so which is having a belief that Bandura has developed this theory, and cognition. Yesterday we had that cognition means it includes learning and memory. It includes perception, which includes intelligence, and which includes thinking. All these four together we call it as a cognition. Social cognitive theory of personality. Social cognitive theory means we observe in the society through all these higher mental abilities. We observe in the society and we develop the personality. That is, observing the people, learn by observing others. So the basic theory of social cognitive theory is we observe in the society through our cognition, and we observe and learn by looking at others. So people model this model. So we will observe the people whom we identify or who are our role models, and then we observe and we learn those things. So the degree of self efficacy is a very important aspect. Learned affects our ability to learn. Self efficacy means this is a big concept developed by Bandura also. Self efficacy means having belief on our having abilities is not self efficacy. Having abilities plus believing our own abilities is called as self efficacy. Having not only having abilities but believing our abilities is called as self efficacy. So the degree, based on the degree of self efficacy, we learned things from society. So the principles of learning, the observational learning is being developed by Bandura. He said in this self systems they develop through self observation, through their judgmental process, and through their self response and self efficacy. These are the things by which individual develops self systems. These are the what this social cognitive theory of personality says that people develop self systems. What are the self systems? It consists of self observation. They observe themselves, and judgmental process, and self response, and self efficacy. These are the important self systems which are used for developing the personality traits. So, what are the principles of observational learning? What are the basic principles of observation learning as Bandura's modeling theory? First, we pay attention. Attentional process is the first process. We pay attention to their behavior, and we will retain them. So this is this is a general experience everybody is having. When we are in a gathering or when you are with other people, we observe people and we pay attention to some of the traits of the people and we retain them. So a particular person has behaved like that in this particular occasion. Because of our self system, we are paying attention and we are retaining, retention takes place. After that, we try to reproduce it. And because of our motivation also plays a major role in observation learning. Observation learning self system is very important. We pay attention and we retain the thing, we reproduce the thing, and motivation plays a this all this is called as a observational learning. Observational learning by social cognitive theory. Social cognitive theory, which tells about observation. How do you observe? To you based on your self systems, and sometimes vicarious learning also takes place. So learning from others. This is learning from others. So this is about the social cognitive theory, and there are also learning theories of personality. So I will do it quickly. Learning theories of personality. These are important theories. Please pay attention. These are the two important theories we will have, which were given as one is Pavlov and second one is Skinner. So Pavlov's theory is both are related to conditioning learning. Conditioning learning. So learning theory of personality developed by Pavlov and developed by Skinner. So Pavlov, he conducted an experiment with a dog and repeated association of a new stimuli, conditioned stimuli with unconditioned stimuli. He conducted a simple experiment of ringing a bell and immediately giving food to a dog. So whenever the bell rings, immediately the food was given to the dog. After repetition of this for some time, the dog started salivating even before getting its food. That means the dog has learned that whenever the bell rang, they are going to get the food. So this is what the dog has learned. Similarly, we people learn so many things by conditioning. So through this process, he has evolved so many concepts in this learning process. So learning is very important. This is a behavioristic theory. Our behavior is being determined what we learn. What we learn. We learn so many things through conditioning learning. What he observed is the dog learned to salivate for food. So this is the first experiment he conducted. So after that, he called this new stimulus, that is bell, as a conditioned stimulus and food as unconditioned stimulus. So for both the things, the unconditional response of salivating was observed. So this happened. After some time, what he did is, this food is called as reinforcement, reward. Food is the reward. So after some time, he found that he has so what he said is, after some time, he stopped giving food to the dog. So it started immediately, the next time immediately whenever the bell rang, it started salivating. So slowly when he has not given food for 3 or 4 times, it stopped salivating for food. So if you don't give the reinforcement, what he said is, if you don't give the reinforcement, immediately the behavior stops. The learning behavior stops. So reinforcement is important for developing the behavior. So after some time, what he did is, this is one concept he has learned. So reinforcement, reward is important for learning. Reinforcement is reward. Word one. After some time, again the same dog was given, he rang a bell. After some time, this process is called as extinction. Extinction of response happened. So that now the dog is not salivating at all, because he is not giving food, it was not salivating. So the extinction of this behavior happened. This is extinction is the one concept. After that, after some time, he joined, he rang the bell. Suddenly, it started salivating, expecting the food again. So after extinction, the behavior recovered at one time. This is called as spontaneous recovery. So if again the reinforcement, the food is given, the behavior continues. If the food is not given, the behavior again extinguishes. So this process is spontaneous recovery. Is another concept he earned. One is reinforcement, second is extinction, third is spontaneous recovery. So after some time, after the conditioning, what he said is he has instead of giving a bell, he has given another sound, bell-like sound. Even then, the dog started salivating, which says that it has generalized. It has generalized. Generalization is the one process. If you learn one thing, if you generalize also for the similar activities, then he instead of bell ringing, he has put on a light, but it was not it didn't salivate. It means that it learned the discrimination. It learned the discrimination between bell and the light. So he found 5 concepts. One is reinforcement is important for learning. The second thing is, if we don't give reinforcement, the behavior extincts. Extinction is the process. Even after extinction, you give the reinforcement. If you give the bell again, spontaneous recovery occurs. If you continue the reinforcement, it continues, and otherwise it stops. And instead of bell, he used some other instrument which gives sound. Then also the saliva, the dog responded. Means generalization takes place. And instead of bell, if you put a light, it hasn't salivated, which means a discrimination also occurred. So all these 5 concepts he learned by Pavlov has developed for learning. These are the principles we can use for learning. And most of the things, this is a primitive learning procedure. Most of us learn our personality traits through this Pavlov experiment. So we are learning through observation only. We are learning all these activities through learning our personality traits through this process. Whatever character is being reinforced, we want to do it again and again. Reinforcement means acceptance by the society. Whatever character is being accepted in the society, I will do it again and again. Reinforced. If they don't reinforce it, I will stop doing it. Extinction occurs. So in this process, the personality traits develops. This is the concept of Pavlov. So heredity and in the environmental process, society, the individual learns through the process of Pavlov's experiment, that is classical conditioning experiment. Classical conditioning, we learn so many personality traits. Coming to the second one, Skinner's experiment. Skinner also in the similar line, Skinner also has developed instrumental conditioning process. Even instrumental conditioning, there was a Skinner box was being prepared, and a pigeon was kept in the box, and whenever the pigeon pellets were given outside the cage, the pigeon is very hungry, and it is looking at the pellets, and it moves that way and this way. When it touches one of the steps, the door opens and it comes out, and it will have the pellets. So like that, the pigeon has to do one activity. So many trials, after some trial after trial, it learned that immediately going into the box, it started pressing the button and coming out and eating the food. That means the animal learned to do something to get the reinforcement. Earlier experiment, it need not do anything. It just associated. The dog just associated. Here, it has done something to get its reinforcement. So this is called as instrumental conditioning. And all the processes like generalization, reinforcement is the food. If you don't give food, it won't stop, the pressing of the button stops. So reinforcement, generalization, all these were developed. And after that, Skinner he has developed these um, schedules of reinforcement, when to give reinforcement to develop the personality. Like that, he has developed a learning theory. Based on the learning theory, how the personality characters are developed in the society. So this is called Skinner schedules of reinforcement. You want to develop a personality trait, when to appreciate, when to reinforce, how to reinforce, what are the periods of reinforcement, schedules of reinforcement was being given by, if one character is practiced again and again, if the reinforcement is given for that character, for that personality trait, the individual learns that personality trait. You want to teach them. Otherwise, they will learn all this process will come because somebody has appreciated me when I did something. So I learned to do the same thing again and again because if I do that, I will get appreciation. That itself is reinforcement. Then, so this is about the Skinner's way of developing personality traits. So we have tried to develop personality traits two ways. One is through Skinner and second is through Pavlov and Skinner. Then the last theory is the humanistic theory. We studied about the social cognitive theory, about learning theory, and now we are Freud's psychoanalytical theory. First thing, psychoanalytical theory we studied. Second, we studied about learning theories, social cognitive theories, and then learning theories. Then the next one is we are touching about the humanistic theory of personality. What is the humanistic theory of personality? So this is so the main objective of humanistic theory is it is to develop, to enhance the well-being of the individual, to enhance the well-being of the individual, and to promote the personality traits which are being useful and productive and helps for the well-being of the individual, to develop the characters which are helpful for the well-being of the society as well as the overall quality, enhance the overall quality of life of individuals. Uh, so to make them, and also to make them more competent, more aware, more happier, and to reach optimal mental health. This is the goal of humanistic psychology. Humanistic psychology goal is to do all these things. So for this he studied two of the theories are very important here. In humanistic theories, two of the theories are very important. One is so the main concept of humanistic theory is to develop the personality traits which are helpful for the well-being of the individual as well as for the society. To have more well-being of the society, this theory was developed. So how to make the individual more happy, more well-being? What are the things we have to develop? So what he said is living in the present is important. For that he has given certain things. Living in the present, personal responsibility. So inherent goodness of people. So we have to accept everybody is good. Everybody is having the abilities. Due to some of the abstract blocks, he is not able to use them. Some of the blocks or some of the conditions are responsible for his behavior. You have to develop this attitude in here. So living in the present is very important. Living in the present is important. So they identified certain of the personality traits which are important for the well-being of the individual. So in this context, they said, so this is the base for positive psychology which was emerged recently. The base for positive psychology is humanistic psychology only. Humanistic psychology only, well-being through positive activities. So among them, Maslow and Carl Rogers. These are the two important people who has done lot of things in the humanistic psychology. Let us talk about Maslow, Abraham Maslow. So he thought of fully functioning person or healthy personality. So healthy personality. What is the healthy personality traits? He identified certain of the healthy personality traits are the what is that self-actualization is being identified as the healthy personality with all healthy personality traits. So for that Maslow has identified a need hierarchy. So he said today, he said the needs are being identified in a hierarchical fashion, and he identified 5 levels of needs: physiological needs, safety needs, love and affection needs, self esteem, and self actualization. These are the needs of people, basic needs of all the people. And his theory of personality is people's work for the basic needs first, physiological needs, that is food and shelter. This is the basic physiological needs. So unless his the theory was, unless the individual is satisfied with the basic things, food and shelter, he won't think about the next level. The first thing is these needs should be their work, their personality, and their behavior is only focused towards getting this food and shelter. Food first and then shelter. First is physiological needs, food. Second is safety needs. Then only he thinks about the shelter. Unless the food needs are fulfilled, he won't think about the shelter. So he won't think about the mansion or a house unless his physiological needs are fulfilled. So he has taken the physiological needs base. And the second higher needs are safety needs. After that, after fulfilling of the basic needs, he thinks about having a shelter, safety needs. He thinks about safety. After safety needs, we come to the third level of needs are being love and affection needs. Love and affection. They need belongingness, love, affection. After fulfilling the physiological and safety needs only, they think about love and affection. If love and affection needs are fulfilled, these three are common to all. These three are common to all. Every individual tries to reach these three needs. That's why these are called as lower order needs. Everybody is having. So people will get satisfied. Most of the people will get satisfied and settle there itself. Some people, after getting the love and affection, physiological needs, safety needs, and love and affection, they belonging needs, love and affection or the belonging needs. After that, they want to have the self-esteem. Self-esteem means recognition. They wanted to work hard to have a recognition in the society. Not all the people, some people want, they will reach the fourth stage. Recognition. People should recognize. I should be recognized in my workplace. I should be recognized in the society. Like that, they will think. After getting the recognition all the time, it won't motivate him. The first time it motivates. Every time he is being recognized. Then he want to go to the next stage, that is self-actualization, where he wants to use his full abilities and he will become a self-actualized person. He said, self-actualized person. I will tell you with a small example, all the Maslow theory. Suppose one of the person is going on the road, then and begging for food. Then you will ask the lady to come to our house, do some work, I will give you the food. So like that, she will be satisfied. Like that, we will do that. After that, after doing this every time, she will be given. Next she thinks about having a shelter, having a shelter. So he wants to have some house to live upon. After getting the shelter, the third day or fourth day, after some time, she will go away from our home. Why you have left for the lesser salary? I have done all this. Then you ask, he says that there people will treat me well. Means she needs love and affection, not the money. She already had food and shelter. Now she is thinking about belongingness, treating them well. So these three are called as lower order needs. Lower order needs. So after this, uh, some people will go. These are called as higher order needs. So the last three are called as deficiency needs. Deficiency needs. Those two are called as growth needs. Growth needs. So being needs, sorry, not growth. These growth needs are called as being needs. Being recognized, self-esteem and being self-actualized. And Maslow has given the characteristics, personality characters of a self-actualized person. Self-actualized person is reality-oriented, problem-centered, not trouble-centered, problem-centered. And then means are more important than ends. And enjoy solitude, comfortable with him alone, and enjoy deeper social relations too. Enjoy autonomy, quality of occupational sense, like that, all the positive traits he will develop, he will strong in their ethical behavior and creative, inventive. All these are the character of self-actualized person as per humanistic theory. Among the humanistic theories, Maslow's theory. There is one more theory called Rogers theory. So as per Carl Rogers theory, he has given, he is a therapist, he is influenced by therapists, and this Maslow theory is based on organizational behavior, and it applies to individuals too. Whereas coming to the Carl Rogers, he is a therapist. His theory is basically used in counseling and in treatment, therapeutic aspects. His theory is well used and person-centered therapy. Is the therapy which he has developed. Uh, Here he has given importance to the experience of the individual, whereas Maslow has given the importance to the needs of the individual, whereas he has given the importance to the phenomenal field, that means needs of a experiences of a person, feelings of the person and their values, inner self. These were given a lot of importance by Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers, but there is difference. Maslow has importance to needs, whereas Carl Rogers has given the importance to the personal experience of a person, which needs their feelings, values, and inner self. And inner self. So this is his theory is self theory. Self theory is a person will be happy if there is a congruence between real self and ideal self. Every individual used to have real self. What I am now is the real self. What I am now, what personality traits, what occupation, what economic condition, what I am is a real self. What I want to be is an ideal self. What I want to be is an ideal self. If there is a discrepancy between these two, ideal self, more the discrepancy, uh, there is a congruence between these two, the people will be happy. If there is more discrepancy, the people will have, develop certain conflict. A therapeutic condition occurs. So this he has focused on therapeutic role and healthy growth. Healthy growth. So he has to give three conditions in counseling. Counseling, three things are important. You have to put it in your mind that the client is, you don't treat the client as an inferior person because he is having the abilities. But due to due to some blocks in his brain, he is not able to solve his problem. That's why he came for counseling. Hence, provide empathy, openness, and unconditional positive regard. Respect him. Respect your client. Unconditional positive regard and empathy and openness. These three are the important characters of Rogers' theory of personality. And here he has given So his enduring aspects of personality for him is growth and development within the individual, not outside. Within the individual has to grow within. If we develop within, the congruence occurs, and the congruence between real self and ideal self occurs. So he is be essentially you should be positive. He is the through positive things you can person-centered positive approach. You can solve some of the you can do counseling and you can solve some of the problems of the counseling. This is the best way to counsel others. So based on this, he has developed the uh, problem-centered approach. Now we are going to the last third unit, which is about again some more theories, of personality. Okay. So let us come to the last paper. We want to the personality assessment of personality. This is very, very important. Assessment of personality. Due to lack of time, I am skipping some of the things. I'm going forward. So this is the fourth block, fourth MPC. This fourth block consists of about the measurement of personality. First thing, personality, as I told you, it consists of all the traits of an individual. A trait means this is a trait is a enduring characteristics of the individual. Enduring characteristics of the individuals are called as a personality. There are before going to the assessment, I'll tell you the basics about personality assessment. There is a difference between testing and assessment. First thing, testing means giving an experiment and testing the particular character or particular things is called a test. You will get test results. Assessment means the overall description of the client, overall description of the individual is called assessment. It includes your observations, your interviews, your tests, results, interpretation of your tests and everything. All this together we call it as an assessment. When you go to a doctor, he will look into your temperature. This is one test. He tests for your blood pressure. This is another test. This is not assessment. Based on your temperature, hypertension test, and other observations and other interview, all together he will make a analysis of you. This all together is called as assessment. So assessment includes observations, interviews, and also the interpretation of tests. All together we call it total understanding of a client is called as assessment. But this in personality, there are number of tests. Thousands of tests are there. Thousands of personality tests are there. No test will find out the personality traits of the entire traits of an individual. So there are tests because there are more than 3,000 characteristics. We cannot find all the 3,000 characteristics of a person. Hence, every test consists of and measures certain of the personality traits. So, whatever the traits you want to examine, you will choose the test, that personality test. You will choose that personality test. So, this is, it measures about social traits, about motives, about adjustments. So many concepts are being, so many personality traits are being, social traits. Your personality, different aspects, emotional stability, emotional intelligence, whatnot, everything it measures. All psychological factors. Tests measure all the psychological factors. And there are different tests for measuring each of the characters. So what do you measure for understanding this personality of an individual? Only there are three conditions where the personality to be understood by the individual. Assessment is needed. Personality assessment is needed for clinical purpose. If the individual's personality is obstructing his behavior, obstructing his peace of mind of the individual, or obstructing his growth, or obstructing his interpersonal relationship, then you have to assess the clinical purpose. For this clinical purpose, you have to assess the personality of an individual. Number two, the second thing is in the present condition, this is clinical purpose. The second purpose is nowadays, every job, it is in the global scenario, there are n number of jobs emerged. Every job needs, employee needs certain, and it is all team activities. Team activities. Global scenario, it is a team activities, collective activities. Hence, along with the abilities required for doing a job, every job needs certain personality traits. Hence, the personality traits of an individual are being assessed in the selection of employees. Selection of employees. Certain of the psychological traits are needed. Social traits are needed for performing the job. Hence, they are finding whether the person is having the particular personality trait or not. Suppose if I am selecting a representative marketing person, they should have sociable and they should have influencing capacity. Like that, they should be able to influence the people. They should have social skills. All this. So these are all the psychological factors, psychosocial factors. So I will measure whether the person is having like that or not. Not 100% his abilities are not sufficient for performing the job. Hence, for the job selections, now they are using the personality test. One is the clinical purpose, second is the job selection. Third is identifying the personality traits of people in the early stage itself and guiding them towards their careers. So in education also we are using the personality test. So these are the ways where we use personality assessment. So in personality test, there are certain basic things you have to remember for using the personality test. The personality test, whatever we are using, should have these qualities. Number one, it should be standardized. So standardized means that should be number one. Standardized means the test should be published by psychological agency. Only published test to be used. Number one. Number two, that test should have standardization. Means so uniform procedure, uniform scoring, and uniform interpretation to be given by the test constructor. So standardization is important. The first thing, it should be published by a agency, psychological agency. Number two, it should have a standardization, right? Uniform procedures of interpretation, scoring, and testing procedures. Number three, it should have norms. So while developing any test, I think you might be knowing about the test development. While developing any test, it happens in the departments of psychology. It is an academic activity. Developing a test is an academic activity. They collect data from thousands of people, and they analyze it, and then they will reduce the questions or characters which are having discrepancy, and they find a list of things. So here norms, they will, while publishing the test itself, they will give certain norms. These tests to be used for children. These tests are to be used for adults. These tests are used for people working here. Age norms will be given, and to whom, for women or for male or for both, like that they will give norms. So whatever norms are given, we should follow the norms. Norms means whom the test to be, on whom the test is standardized. on whom this test is standardized, which population this test is standardized, is called a similar population. This test can be used for the similar population. Hence, this is called as a norms. Then the test should have norms. The test should be standardized, it should have norms, and it should have reliability too. Reliability means when the test is given, this is the consistency of results. Consistency of the test, consistency of results. If the test is given to a person and the person's personality traits are identified, and again if the test is given to the same person, it should be almost similar. Then only you can say the test is reliable. Reliable. So we are talking about the instrument, about the test. Reliability of the test is important. So the reliability is being assessed by so many procedures. The procedures are given in your textbook. The test, retest reliability, split half reliability, like of this number of ways of developing the reliability. Reliability should be given. It should be given in the coefficient of correlation. C, coefficient of correlation. The correlation, if the correlation is high, then the test is reliable. So we use different methods for identifying this correlation. Reliability means consistency of the test results. Number 3. Number 4, next is validity. Validity means you have to validate the test. Validity means whether the test is measuring what it is intended to measure. Suppose I prepared a test. I have tried a questions or checklists or whatever, sometimes statements, sometimes checklists, sometimes option, multiple options, sometimes yes or no, like that. All these are being used in personality test. There is no time limit. So in this test, we have to establish before publishing it, we have to establish whether the test is measuring what it is intended to measure. I prepared a test to measure sociability of persons. Whether the test is measuring the sociability of person or any other personality trait. So this should be established before publishing the test. Validity should be there. There are number of ways to find out the validity of the test. Sometimes I have prepared a test and I measured by this test the person's characters, and then I will give already established test, and if the person got the same results, then my test is valid. Sometimes as per my test the person is sociable. I will find out really the person is sociable or not. If the person is really sociable and my test results also shows that it is reliable, then it is a valid test. Like that, before publishing the test, we have to give the validity of the test. There are so many content validity, construct validity, like that, so many ways of finding the validity is there. So I'm not going in detail about all these things. So these 5 characters are important for using a personality test. All the personality questions which are given in the newspaper should not be used. It should be the research is being done in the departments and the test is being published by the department, should be only be used. Published by the testing agency should only be used, where the test will contains standardization, norms, reliability and validity scores. All the 4 scores are important, then only you have to use the test. So this is the basic information about the usage of personality test. There are so many tests you are coming in Google. Find your braveness, find your timidness, find your shyness, like that. Those are not standardized tests. The test constructed by the appropriate academic people and published by the academic departments should only be they are only be published, and those should only be used for testing the personality traits. Then we will come to the different types of tests which we use in personality. One is self-report personality test. Self-report personality report. That means these are the self-rating scales. We call them self-rating scales. Almost in personality tests, usually majority of the personality tests, a statement is given. Multiple choice statements are there, and sometimes yes or no statements are there. Sometimes checklists are there. So whatever is that. So there are some multiple choice and attitudinal scales. The scaling techniques are being used for constructing the personality tests. So whatever is the personality test, the test is being given to the individual. He will report his person. He himself will report. Based on his self-report, we are knowing about the personality traits of individual of the person. Self-report scales. There are many self-report scales. So we'll find many scales which are self-reporting only. So measures of self-confidence is a self-report scale. And in all this, the important thing is when you are giving a personality test, you should never say that it is a test which is being used to measure your personality. No. If you say that, it has an impact on their answering. So for all personality tests, you are not supposed to say that this is a test for measuring this personality trait or your personality. Whereas for intelligence tests and ability tests, you have to say that this is a test to measure your ability. Then you will do it focused. And most of the personality traits, there is no time limit. There is no time limit. They have to think and follow the instructions and they have to answer it. So there are certain attitude scales are there, many Ising personality inventory, Bell's adjustment inventory is there, MMPA is there. There are number of inventories to find the characteristics. Some inventories have multiple characters, multiple personality traits are assessed in one inventory. There are certain inventories where only one character is being assessed there. So like that, there are number of self-report scales. Among them, some are single trait tests. Means one trait only they will find out. They will find only one trait. For example, locus of control scale. We will find the locus of control of the individual, only one trait. We are not measuring any other trait, only one trait, locus of control of the individual. There are multiple dimensional scale tests, whereas I told you, Cattle's 16 PF test. We are measuring 16 personality traits, multiple personality, 16 personality traits in one single test. So there are, every test has certain strengths and certain weaknesses. So you have to overcome the weaknesses. Sometimes it is better, instead of open-ended questions, if you use the closed-ended questions, it will be better. Number one. Number two, not telling the purpose of the test is another important thing. And use of sometimes certain fake answers will be identified. Why? These questions will also be included in the test to identify the fakeness of the individual. So some check questions are also there in the test. And these are the main things about the test: self-report test and single trait test and multiple trait test. Most of the things, these are the things. Then coming to this is one type of test which we use for measuring personality, self-report scale. The second type of tests are projective tests. We use projective test techniques. So this is, all projective tests are based on Freud's psychoanalytical theory. Based on psychoanalytical theory, to bring out your motive, unconscious motives, we will use this test. What are to find out the reasons for the present problem, to find the reasons for the present problem and finding the unconscious motive. Unconscious means individual himself do not know what is the motive which is making them to do like that. So to find out the unconscious motives, we used to uh, we use projective techniques based on psychoanalytical theory of Freud. Among the projective tests are the indirect tests. They are they are not direct tests. These are the indirect tests. The purpose is being they are not the purpose is not being given, and they are in the uh, so they are not being direct, indirect tests, projective tests. Among the projective tests, there are three types of tests. One is associative tests. So in all the projective tests, the purpose is not seen, and the meaning is in unconscious. The main purpose is your unconscious motives will be expressed in this through these tests. For example, in the association test, this to the in these tests, the client is asked to associate the word with another word. Pre-association test. Use pre-association test example, where one word is given. Immediately tell me immediately whatever comes to your mind. For example, knife. What is the word you comes? You will write down. Some people used to write knife means fruit cutting, apple cutting, vegetable cutting. Some people say it is murder. There is something is wrong. Some unusual responses in the associated association tests are will guide us to find the hidden motives of the individual. Hidden means unconscious, not hidden, unconscious motives which are working on him. Unconscious motives which are working on him. These tests are called as associative tests, pre-association tests. Immediately one word is given. There are 100 words are given. The what is that? The examiner will be observing. Whenever some people says, suppose if the word is there, wife, the person become wild and he writes something, then we can understand that this person is having a problem. This analysis, and if he says murder, then he become alert and he become emotional. Then he's having some problem with a particular area. Then this helps for psychological diagnosis, and also it helps to find out the motives which are in unconscious. These are some of the association tests are being used as projective tests. Then, in a disguised fashion, we are asking it in a disguised way. Then, second, some constructive tests. There are certain, in associative test, there is one more important test, is Rorschach-Inkblock test. This is, even though we are not accepting the Freud's theory, we are using, most of the psychiatrists are using the Rorschach-Inkblock test. You please kindly go through the test, where I will tell you briefly what is there. You just go into the test. There are 10 cards in Rorschach ink block test. There are certain ink block tests. Ink block tests are there, and hedges ink block test and Rorschach ink block test. Rorschach ink block test is very important. It is a 1-year course. In interpretation is very long interpretation. At present, there are abridged versions of this Rorschach ink block test is also there. Abridged versions of Rorschach ink block test. Here, what they used to say, there are 10 cards. Each card consists of ink blot with different irregular shapes. Irregular shape, because it is an ink blot, it comes with irregular shape. And the person is given, this client is given this card and asked to whatever he is able to look to see in this disguised picture. This is not clear, it is a disguised picture. And what he says is he will look sometimes if you look at the sky, you will find so many things. Similarly, the person is asked to look at the test and find out whatever he be able to find in the test. So based like that, he was given 10 cards, and each card they will note down whatever comes, whatever he says, and after that the interpretation itself is very difficult. What are the area what they have taken determinants like that, the interpretation how they have to interpret this association what he has made in Rorschach test. So I'm not giving details about this Rorschach test. This is a big test, and 10 cards will be given. How do you interpretation? You will get determinants. All the list is given in your manual. You can go through that. So Rorschach inkblot, even today it is being used. In Bombay, we are giving training for abridged version of this Rorschach. Interpretation of this Rorschach inkblot test. It is actually a 1-year course in MA course for studying a paper, complete paper on Rorschach inkblot. So this is one of the association tests. Similarly, there are constructive tests. This is also a projective test, constructive test. In the constructive test, what do they do is, among them, 2 tests are very important. One is TAT, second one is CAT. TAT is thematic apperception test. Second thing is children apperception test. So in this also there are cards. Each card consists of a scene. Scene means one occasion like a cartoon, one picture is there on this TAT for adults is there, for TAT for this children apperception test. These are called as apperception tests. Apperception tests. So TAT is for adults, whereas TAT is for children. Now all these, the pictures are for adults, related to one of the scenes which are being there. Like that, the individual, the client has to analyze the picture, tell a story, and he has to describe the particular scene, whatever he understood. Like that, he has to give 10 stories for 10 cards, for all the cards. Similarly, for children also, there are some other pictures which are different, and they are asked to write down the stories about the thing. So that is the children's apperception test. So by analyzing this constructive test, that's why they are constructing a story. They are constructing a story about that, and they will find out. They will find out the, based on their interpretation, they can find out the hidden motives. That is, hidden means unconscious motives of the individual. Similarly, there are expressive techniques are also used in projective tests. The expressive tests are play techniques. Play techniques they use, and also drawing. The child is asked to draw something. So you can understand the unconscious motives of the child. Similarly, paintings, drawings, play therapy is also there. So these are the tests which are being used by basic projective tests. These are the basic projective techniques we use. We know self-report questions, projective techniques. The third thing is some of the situational tests also we use. So here the situations are given, and some of the situation is given. The individual is in many of the interviews these are being used very much. One of the situation is given. The person's reaction to the situation, through his reaction, imagined reaction to the situation, we can assess the personality traits of an individual. So in a IAS or in civil services, wherever a test is given, what is the test where this is the situation, what do you do? You are in the key position, what do you do? These are the situational tests to identify the personality. So these are also called behavioral event tests, some of the situation tests. So these are very useful, very effective, and we can find some of the personality traits of the individual. Suppose when you are going on a road, something happened, an accident occurred, the child was do you go away or do you have stop and do, what do you do? The question, what do you do? Immediately my answer is my hidden idea, my personality, my idea, my personality. So like that, situational tests are also being used. Self-report test, projective test, situational tests. And coming to the behavioristic techniques, there are behavioristic techniques also are there. One is among the behavioristic technique, one is observation technique. Observations. Through observation. So here observation plays a major role. Observing the situation, we can analyze the personality of an individual. For example, the observation tests are very common in all science subjects. We use observation. When there is a eclipse, all scientists will go and observe. And this is called as a naturalistic observation. In a flood situation, how the people behave is a natural. We visit a flood situation and we will observe the people and we will find out how people behave in a flood situation. In a tsunami situation, how people behave. In a crisis situation, how people behave. During war, how people behave. All these are the observational tests. By this observational test, we can find some of the characteristics of some of the personality traits of individual. So there are two types of observations you can make. One is naturalistic observation. Now we are using CC cameras and all this. You can record the situation. Again, you can replay it and you can find out, analyze the personality traits of people. Similarly, when it comes to the controlled observation, this is what we do in laboratory. Controlled observation, we will control some of the characteristics and you will find out the personality traits of individual. So how do you work in a frustrated thing? You can create a frustrated condition in the laboratory and you can observe the reactions of the individual. Then that is called as a controlled observation. You can do naturalistic observation or controlled observation. We use certain techniques for observation. So many people used to watch that. 5 or 6 people watch that, so that they will observe different things. So you won't miss it. But at present we are using the VC cameras, CC cameras, and by that you can understand all the things. So this is about the behavioristic techniques. One thing is observation techniques. Then situational tests I told you. These are also the behavioristic techniques. Then how do you assess? Behavioristic assessments are there. Here, the behavioristic assessment, the thing is direct assessment. Behavioristic assessment, direct assessment. So, we will assess. I told you assessment means not testing. You have to have the entire picture of the individual. In the direct assessment, what do? We will find out the personality traits of an individual by his suppose he is a client. How do you assess it? By taking the case history of the individual, all direct assessment, and then by giving some of the tests, by doing interview, by all this directly, you can assess a person. This is called the direct assessment. This is analogous assessments we will do. In the analogous assessment, what do you do is, under simulation conditions, what is the behavior? Simulation training is important. This is an indirect way of behavioral assessment. Simulation technique. Simulation means just like a model. Analogy we use. Simulation technique. This is the techniques we use in driving. At present, car driving or something. Simulation pictures are being presented, and how do you analogous similar things are being given, and you will observe how the individual is behaving. So this is the behavioral assessment to simulation techniques. And also there are certain indirect ways. These are direct ways. In the indirect way, we use we infer the information through retrospective analysis. One event occurred, one crisis situation, the person is there, and we will analyze the behavior of the individual during that crisis situation. retrospectively. So after the situation is over, retrospectively we analyze the behavior of the individual and we will infer and that means we will conclude with such personality trait. This is called as indirect way of assessment. Indirect way of assessment. Then we will do contextual assessment. I told you, during flood, during war, during crisis situation, how people behave. Crisis behavior is very, very important. So this is a contextual assessment. During this context, how this is, based on this, we can assess the personality of individual. Then next, what do you do is case study method. This is everybody knows individual and community case studies we will take for finding the personality traits of the case. Case may be an individual or case may be an institution. Community case. So here coming to the case study method, here in any case, suppose if we take an individual, we have to take all the factors of the individual, all the factors, case A to Z, all the information regarding one case, and then you start analyzing that. You start studying that for the present problem. Suppose there is a conflicting situation, a company is about to close, then we will take the entire information regarding that case. How many are working? What is the type of work? What is the remuneration? All this information from the institution, and then we study the entire case. We will analyze it, and we will understand the drawbacks or personalities or reasons for the conflict. So these are the case study method. Through the case study also we will do behavioristic assessment. Through case study also we study behavioristic assessment. We do through case studies. That is an individual case study or through sometimes community case studies. Community case studies also we will take to find out the reasons for the particular behaviors. So particular behaviors means there is an unrest in one community. So we'll study the community case study to find out why this unrest has happened. So this is about the case study method. Usually individual case studies are used for clinical purpose. And community case studies are also used regarding the clinical situation, means during the unrest or conflict of the particular community or particular institute. We go for community case studies or sometimes institutional case studies too. A big group, big group, total institution. So otherwise we will do case study of an individual for clinical purpose. For clinical purpose, we study the entire case. Then the last thing what we do is in behavioristic techniques. The last technique is interview. Actually, this is the first technique we use in behavioral assessment. We use the first technique is interview only. Interview means this is a face-to-face conversation with a purpose. Interview is a face-to-face conversation with some purpose. Here, the interviewer will be there who is interviewing, and interviewee is here who is undergoing interview, and the procedures followed by the interview. Here, the first thing is interview. So the face-to-face conversation between the interviewer and interviewee and the interview process. How the interviewer should be there to get the right information and how the process should be. So interviewer should be able to he is able to be near to the interviewee. He should be develop the rapport with the interviewee, and then he has to do his interviewing process should be started. Before that, rapport building is the first step which he has to do in interview process. There are basically two types of interviews which are being conducted. One is structured interviews, another is unstructured interviews, third is semi-structured interviews. Structured, unstructured, and semi-structured interviews. In the structured interviews, what are the questions, what are the information which I want to know from the, I want to ask, or I want to ask the client, ask the interviewee, are already prepared. So I prepare the questions prior to the interview, and I used to ask the same questions in the same order with the same words, and then I will get the information. This interview is called a structured interview. Sometimes in the structured interview, we are not supposed to explain the question again and again. So whatever the question we ask them to answer the question. Whatever he says, we will just note down. There are unstructured interviews. In unstructured interviews, the what I want to find out from the interviewee is being noted, and then I am asking different questions to get the information from the client. So the questions are not structured. So whatever the question is needed to get the information, I am asking that question. So this is called as unstructured interviews. The purpose of interview is to get the information, to get the real information from the interviewee, from the interview. So this is the structured interviews and unstructured interviews. So there are third thing is in the disadvantage of structured interview is sometimes you may not get the information which is required in a structured interview. But the questions are in a useful, in a orderly way. Whereas in unstructured interview, you may get the information but from the interviewee, but the thing is, the influence of the interviewer may be there while asking the question. Hence, the best thing is semi-structured interview, where some of the questions are structured and some are unstructured. You can use both the things from the interviewee. So to get the maximum real accurate information. Accurate information is important. So here the interviewer should be a trained person, and the training is very much needed for conducting a interview. So this is one way of assessing the behavioral assessment people. Sometimes for this interview there are 4 or 5 people will sit and they will interview the behavioristic assessment. Behavioristic assessment is not only for clinical purpose, even for organizations, work purpose, for selecting people. Now selecting people, most of them are using the behavioristic assessment. So by this we can understand that personality questionnaires, there are self-report questionnaires, projective techniques, self-report questionnaires, projective techniques, behavioristic techniques, and other techniques are there which are being used for conducting the assessment of the individual. And so direct assessment questions are there, simulated assessments are there, case study method for you. We use different techniques for the assessment of the interviewee. We use different techniques for the assessment of interview. So with this, I think some I skipped because so there are so many theories. I didn't go through all the details of the theories because I give only the gist of the theories which are there, and some I may miss it, but it is not possible to cover all in 3 hours. It takes 1 or 2 hours for each category of theories. So hence I covered only outlining the theories, and then assessment also I made it as simple as possible. So if you have any doubts or anything, I think you are exhausted by this 3 hours class.
I'm more than the students. I think you should be more exhausted. You've
Yes,
been talking
that's
too much.
exactly what
Yeah.
I thought as well, ma'am. Yeah, it is not possible to cover everything, but this session has been very useful. It just kind of gave us an overview of how we should go about, and I think it, like, because the terms are now familiar, we can probably prepare a little better.
Good, good.
Thank
Good.
you, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes,
I have some questions.
yes, yes,
So these are the assessments to find out the personality, right, of an individual.
yes.
After that, if it is a clinical assessment, we might give some medicine or you know uh, provide counseling and everything. But ultimately, are these let's say some personality disorders were there, and let's my question is, are these or permanent, or is there any cure for these disorders?
So there are different levels of a disorder. There are personality disorders are there, anxiety disorders. If the level is mild, the counseling itself is enough. By this, they can come out of that. If the disorder is caused through biological factors, psychological factors, and social factors. These three are the causative factors of any psychological disorder, right? Environmental factors. So, if
Okay.
it is biological factors, there is a continuous use of psychiatristic psychiatrist should have involved, and he should give the medicine. Without medicines, biological. So, if there is any change in the brain structure or neural functioning, then it should be corrected only through drugs, not by counseling. Right? That also gives aggression, depression, all these biological characters are there. Similarly, hormonal disturbances also create so many behavioral problems. Hence, for all these, psychiatric medicines are needed. Treatment is needed definitely. If it is a psychological reason, a failure, a crisis situation, a trauma, or whatever is that, or any other failure, whatever is that, and maladjustment, then only the counseling helps. If it is a social factor or psychological factor, the counseling, depending upon the severity of the problem, it may take 5 sessions or 10 sessions. So usually the counseling purpose is make the individual, we don't give any, we help the individual to understand the problem by himself and uh, get the solution by himself only. We will try to bring the solution. They are capable of doing. People are capable of solving their problems, but because of some of the flaws, they may not be able to do it. As a counselor, we will use certain of the techniques also, psychotherapies also, if needed, and if the reason is not biological, then the counseling helps. If it is a biological reason, only psychiatrist has to address it. Right?
Yeah, most of the personality disorders, um, they
Yeah.
might uh, they might depend on biological factors, right? I mean,
No, no, no. Personality disorders, most of the disorders are through environmental factors. Are
okay.
through environmental factors only because of childhood experiences, because of their, what I can say, neighborhood, failures, success, failures in life, and different treatments from the family members, their attitudes, all these are responsible. Personality disorders, if they are mild, you need not address it. Everybody is having one or two personality disorders. We call it
Okay.
disorder only. Yes, yes. We will address the personality only if it is obstructing their growth, if it is obstructing their peace of mind, if they are obstructing my success, then I have to address it. Right?
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Otherwise,
Thank
there
you.
is no need. People will have different personalities. Nothing is wrong in that. Right?
Okay. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so you say that it's casual and it's okay to have some personality disorders.
It is okay if it is not obstructing my growth, if it is not obstructing my peace of mind, if it is not obstructing my success, then it is okay to have. People will have different personalities. That is your personality. Nothing is wrong in that. People won't
Okay.
have the same personalities. All characters which are being accepted by society. We are good with ourselves, it is okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Right.
Any more questions? Okay then. Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. Yes,
Can
yes, please.
Yes.
You are not audible, please.
It's muted.
ma'am, can you differentiate cardinal traits and central traits?
Emma?
Sharon, please repeat your
Differentiation.
question.
Ma'am, can you differentiate cardinal traits and central traits?
Madam,
Can you
she's asking.
differentiate?
Madam, she's
Dominant
asking about
yeah.
cardinal and
Dominant.
central traits.
Yeah. Dominant traits and central traits. Dominant traits are the traits which are dominant in an individual. Aggressiveness is my dominant trait. Okay? Then coming to the central trait,
Yeah.
that is my focus of life is my central trait. I want to achieve this. My achievement is my central trait. Right? Have you understood? My
Okay.
focus
Yeah.
of life is the central
Yes,
trait.
ma'am. And then one more.
Yes.
Yeah. Is aptitude trainable?
Aptitude is inborn capacity. If aptitude will never get the success. Aptitude should associate with a training. Training is a must. Even though you are having lot of aptitude, high potential aptitude, without training you cannot do. Even though they are having musical aptitude, if they are not being trained under any musician, they can't be successful.
Yeah. Okay.
Training is
And
important.
one last question, ma'am. This ego, we usually use this term in our daily life, right? He is an ego person. So how this is associated with that Freud's theory of ego, id, ego, super ego, there we are telling.
Yes. Freud's theory of ego is entirely different. And what you are commonly use the term ego.
Yeah.
Ego means
They are
we are
different, right?
Yes, this is totally different. Ego means
Okay, ma'am. Thank
they
you.
are thinking themselves very high self-esteem. Yes?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, right.
Thank you, ma'am, for sparing your time and covering the whole topic of personality in just 3 hours, which had almost 4 books. Ma'am has covered what is the concept of personality, then what is the nature, personality theories, and assessment of personality. Hope all of you have enriched through this session. And please remember, this was the last session which was conducted online. There is another session for you on the 2nd of March, which is Statistics in Psychology MPC-006. This session will be conducted in a face-to-face mode, and it will be at SRR College, Vijayawada. So the class, I think the session, you might have seen the timings also. It starts at 10 and goes till evening 5 p.m. with 1 hour break for lunch from 1 to 2 p.m. So all of you make sure to attend it. It will be very useful to you all. Once again, ma'am, on behalf of RC Vijayawada, thank you so much. And thank you, ma'am. And I request all the learners also to please submit the feedback form. Okay then, see you all on 2nd March.
Thank you.